This is, in fact, the year of the Gundy. And we're going to roll into it with somebody who's on their worldwide book tour at the moment, right around the corner.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily stop for all things Cowboy and Cowgirl related. My name is Cody Stovall. I want to thank you kindly for stopping by to make this your first listen here on Locked On Oklahoma State. Of course, you know we are on every single podcasting platform as well as visually on YouTube. If you want to check out the rocking of the majestic beard, follow me on Twitter at AllDayOState. So, yeah, I've said it before. With all of the realignment stuff that is happening, it's going to do a lot for the Big 12. Oklahoma State needs to be at the forefront of this new Big 12. I think it's imperative. I think it's imperative that we capitalize on the moment now. But we're going to bring a good old buddy of ours on who's currently going around the world at the moment, rocking the Big 12 Anon flag himself proudly. Mr. Greg Swaim, how you doing, brother man?
I am doing great, and if my voice will hold out another half hour, I've made it. You'll be my 14th show today, so it's all good. It's been a crazy day. Started about 6 a.m. and just now wrapping it up, but it's good. Tomorrow will be another crazy day, maybe even crazier than today, because today was, we knew something might not happen, today. We said, Tuesday, they would, we'd talk about it and supposedly get their deal set to them, and talking about the Pac-12 presidents.
Oh, yeah.
And it kind of happened. Kind of is the key word there. It's, here's what's amazing.
Horseshoes and hand grenades, I guess.
Yeah. Zero. Yeah. Close only counts, right? But their money situation is bad. And then you add to that basically zero linear coverage. So, and then worse than that, they're on pay-per-view. You got to buy the Apple app to get them, and then you got to have a secondary type deal. It's nuts. And I found out Apple, you can't even get them. You can't even put the Apple app for TV on an Android phone. You got to go to a website and do it or something crazy. It's like, how many 80-year-old fans are going to do that? Come on now. And here's the other deal. So basically, they got a deal, and they're making it look like it's $25 million a team, and it would be if it's 9 teams or 8 teams or whatever. But they're wanting to get to 12. You realize every G5 they add will just take away whatever it divides up into. I think we figured it out with 12. It ends up being about $15 million a year. And here's the other amazing thing about that. They got to go out and sell subscriptions to make more money. You can't make this crap up, my man. They are just, every time you think they couldn't get any dumber, and it's supposed to be the smart conference,
right? They
are dumber than a box of rocks.
Well, yeah, every time you don't think it can get worse, they keep moving the goalpost, which is fine. It is what it is.
Well, it was such a bad deal. Of course, the Three Stooges, the Pac-12 media out there, they were making it sound like it was the best deal, it was the best thing since sliced bread.
And so, hey, some are still saying that, with the extra incentives, wait till we see.
Well, here's the deal. You've seen some of their stadiums with about 10 people in it. UCLA, Stanford, some of those. Right? I know UCLA is leaving, but still, the fact remains that, the Four Corner schools do okay. And Oregon, obviously, and Washington, which those two, I told somebody today, do you think Oregon and Washington come? And I was like, no. It'd be like if you were you're dating this girl that's 5, but the hot cheerleader that's a 10 whispers in your ear, hey, I'm going to break up with my boyfriend tomorrow and give you a call, right? So they're waiting for that. So let them go. We don't, I get it. Dude, they pay twice what we do. I get that. And it's a prestigious conference and all that. They want to get in there as soon as possible. I don't think anything's going to happen until Notre Dame gets in there. And by the way, that's another story I'm going to try to break tomorrow. Okay. I don't think NBC is going to pay Notre Dame anywhere near what they wanted, gotcha. Which means if they fall below what they would get being a Big Ten member, why wouldn't they just go be a Big Ten member? I know they really want their independence and all that, but times are changing. It's, very hard to be an independent.
Well, I think I don't know. I wouldn't say a foregone conclusion, but the more that we navigate towards I think what is an inevitability of like the 3 mega conference type situation. Yeah. I mean, they're going to have to jump into a party at some point in time. So if they can't get the money that they think that they can get, then yeah, I think it's going to be a time to make the move before too long.
I think what they need to do is sell Girl Scout cookies in the front of Walmart, have some bake sales, book sales, book fairs, stuff like that. Raise a few bucks, to help out the poor. They're
right, of course
they are hurting. They're hurting bad. And let me tell you what's worse. Zero linear coverage is bad, especially worse when it's on a pay-per-view channel, dude. I mean, first of all, those people don't even go to ball games out there. That UCLA game early in the season where there are about 5 people in the Rose Bowl, which seats 100 and something, we put that out there. And you should have seen the excuses. Well, people go to the beach on Saturdays. Like this one guy goes, well, we spend time with our children and we go to their football and soccer. I think they said soccer, which made me want to puke anyway. I think that's child abuse, right? So I'm like, are you kidding me? I said, you know what we do in Stillwater? We have night games a lot of times. We go watch our kids' games on Saturday morning, hang out with them all day, and then take them to the freaking ball game. It's like, what kind of communist kid are you raising there? You go to ball games, take your kid to UCLA. But anyway, tomorrow is going to be a big day, I think, too, because it's not like we don't have enough stuff going on, but Florida State is going to do something tomorrow. I know you're in on that too, because we have a couple Florida State guys at our network. Yeah. And they've been telling me this for like 3 months. And I put it out there because there were 2 other people telling me the exact same thing, basically, that were Florida State people. One of them's an administrator that I've known since college. And they're like, hey, this is going to happen. And here's why it's going to happen. Real easy. Because we cannot afford to stay in this conference for 10 freaking years and lose $500 million, what is it? 500 million, which is $500 million. Got to get my numbers straight here. But
there you
go. You can't afford to lose that kind of money to teams like Northwestern and Rutgers and people like that. And then guess what? They make less than UCF now. And that really pisses them off. So
that's up behind pretty good.
Yeah. So they're not happy about it.
Not a fan.
And they have no choice. It's kind of like, you corner a mad dog, something's going to happen. That dog's going to come out fighting, right? Florida State is going to come out fighting. They've got 7 other teams that have already basically said, we're going to do the same thing if Florida State can do it first. I think they might even be pulling their money. We'll know more tomorrow. They also have a lawyer who he kind of had an ingenious plan. We'll see how ingenious it is. Yeah. But he said when Florida State got in there, they got lied to by the conference, and they may sue the conference for fraud, and the conference may let them out because they don't want to go to court. So
right. Wow. How about that, buddy? How about that? Hey.
Yeah. Well, we kept telling people, look, I've got 3 really good sources at Florida State, 2 good ones at Clemson. And they're just telling me, hey, we're going to do something. We've had these guys lawyering up now for it was last July. So it's been a little over a year now. And they've been working on their magic and doing all these things. And I wouldn't want to see the billable hours, but it's going to be a big deal. And the more this is going on, the more sure I am that definitely Florida State's going to get out of their deal with the ACC.
All right, Greg. Well, give me a second. We're going to shift gears real quick, but I got to tell the fine people out here today. We are brought to you by eBay Motors. If you're looking for the right fit, the right part, which you probably should be, because putting a championship level team together, it starts before you even get there. To get there, you got to have the right parts and the right car. It's got to be the right fit. Get the guaranteed fit today at eBay Motors with the eBay Guaranteed Fit. Go figure that one. You can be sure that every part's going to fit right the first time around. Add them to your garage. Look at the green check to make sure that the part will fit right, or your money back, because just like in sports, confidence is numero uno. If you don't have confidence in how you're going to get there, it's kind of hard to be the guy when you do get there. So make sure you shop at eBay Motors with over 122 million parts to choose from. You'll be back in the game in no time. All right, Greg. All right, buddy. So we're gonna go back to the Arizona being on the clock type situation, but real quick, I want to get your take. I've been saying, for me personally, this needs to be arguably the most important year for Gundy because of the schedule, because of how it's gotten set up for the transfer market, and with Colorado and possibly even Arizona joining the Big 12 soon. The Big 12 is only going to get better. It's only going to get bigger. It's only going to become worth more money, because no matter what anybody says about Colorado, Dion brings eyeballs. Eyeballs equal marketing. Marketing equals money. Right. It's the trickle-down effect. So I've been saying this has got to be a big year for Gundy. Do you think so, or do you think that no matter what happens, we're going to continue the same type of conversation next year?
You mean, are we going to be better than last year?
No, I know we're going to be better than last year. I'm saying,
and here's the big year. If you look at teams who've done really well and maybe surprised some people over the last couple of years, most of them have a common denominator. And that common denominator is very few, if any, serious injuries. Oklahoma State had a ton of them last year. And you're going to have one of those periodically. I know somebody was trying to slam Gundy on a show I was on a couple of weeks ago, saying, well, he just doesn't care anymore. He's getting old. He's not in touch with the kids anymore. And I said, well, I think he went through a little bit of deal where he really liked to hang out at the farm instead of coming in every day. That has been corrected. And I think Mike's got some renewed vigor and energy. 100%. And he knows that, he knows what he'll say. He doesn't read the paper. He'll say he doesn't listen to sports radio. He'll say he doesn't watch social media. But I know he does, because I've known him a long time. 40 years now almost. But I think what happened the end of last year and all the criticism he got may have really helped, because I think he's got a lot of fire in his belly right now. And so I expect, and this team's got their back against the wall too. I think they're going to play for their coach a little bit. I think the guys that are here now, we got rid of all the malcontents. It is what it is. Okay. So you're picking on a kid. You know what? Those kids make more than I do, some of them now. So I'm not, if you're getting paid to play, you deserve the criticism too, if you deserve it. So. Right. But I'm glad to get rid of it. Glad to get rid of a couple malcontents last year that were locker room cancers.
I dig it, man. And I love the simplicity that we're working with offensively. I love the simplicity that Brian Nardo's system affords some of the guys, primarily because we're loaded for war at the safety position. But yeah, man, no matter whether it's been 100% on him or if it's a little bit pushed, nonetheless, Gundy is good in rebound years. And you've been watching Oklahoma State games for a long time, and I think you can even
1978 was my first year.
The schedule's a gift that we need.
It's it's going to be a fun year, I think, because I'm looking at the record and I know it's like what's the over under 6.5 wins.
Yeah.
Are you freaking kidding me? I'm putting all the money I can on that one here in the next couple of weeks.
Yep.
I'm going to have somebody go to Vegas and do that for me because 6.5, man, first of all, they go to bowls 17 years in a row. Very few teams have done that.
Right.
And what happens when Mike Gundy has a 6-6, 7-5 type season? The next year they surprise everybody.
Correct.
And I really think that's
man,
good.
You're talking about 2005. Like we're really going to fall back that far? Like that's just preposterous to me, man.
Well, and our good buddy Jason, God bless him, he's an OU guy, so you got to feel bad for him. But I told him I'm predicting it right now, and all the guys in our network, you guys and fans, whatever, I'm predicting Oklahoma State beats the Sooners in the last Bedlam.
You know what, man? It being at home does matter. It being for something does matter. And here's where I take some solace in you saying that, buddy, is the last time that we all thought it was the last one, we showed up and it went kind of well against.
That wasn't a bad game, was it? Of course, they all blamed it on their coach and all that good stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like, oh, we would have beat you if he would have taken it, had one foot out the door. Like, okay, yeah, I've heard this before. This is exactly why I'm glad we're not playing you guys anymore. Because if you argued like a normal person and got off your high horse, we could have a pretty good argument. That's why Jason and I can both be turds, but we kind of jawed each other back. It's the people who take it so seriously, like it's life or death. Now, don't get me wrong. I've got tons of Sooner family now from marriage and stuff like that. I love them all, and they're good people and all that. But on game day, I'm not going to be around anybody that's an OU fan. I don't care if it's my wife, even though she's not an OU fan, thank God. I wouldn't have married her if she was. But, I think we beat OU this year and send the Sooners off the SEC to get a whole lot more losses because I really don't think they're going to compete out there anywhere near what they have been since they've been in the Big 12.
I actually think they'll be okay. And I think it does help the Big 12 if OU and Texas at least make a pretty good account for themselves. Dude,
Agreed.
Going well. If they're bottom feeders, everyone's going to be like, see, look how garbage the Big 12 was. But if they show up and they're constantly top 4, top 5, I think that most people will give at least some validation, whether they admit it fully or not.
Well, they're going to recruit really well. And, they've been, let's be real honest, since post-World War II, they've been cheating their ass off. And they've gotten really, really, really good at it. So when we switched to NIL, now it's legal. So they just took the kid gloves off and they don't care anymore. And it's not just them; it's all the blue bloods. I get it. Swaim, you're just jealous. No, I am of your success. No, I wouldn't want to be you. No. I wouldn't want to be an OU fan because it's like this. Hey, you really want to
basketball guy? You know how rampant that's.
You really want to piss Jason off sometime? I was like, I brought up a stat that we. Well. You guys were great the other night. You guys are a good team. I was talking to him the other day, and we brought up a stat that in '88, when I was in grad school, we had a theory, and Dr. Rooney told us, well, let's do this. We had a theory that most OU fans did not go to school there, did not work there, don't really have any tie-ins with the university in any way, other than they grew up OU fans, and that basically the theory was, since we don't have professional football in the state, but we love football, that Oklahoma basically is a professional football team in the state of Oklahoma. And that's accurate. I don't see anything wrong with that. If I'm a Sooner fan, I go, okay. And 90% of the Sooner fans I've ever, brought that information to, they agree with it. Whereas the reciprocal is almost true at Oklahoma State. If you're an Oklahoma State fan, like you and I, we went to school there. Okay. My dad taught there. I live in Stillwater, the whole thing. So I'm about as orange as you could be. Now, I try to be objective, not always easy as a fan, but as, somebody who's in the media, I try to be somewhat professional at least. But I'll tell you, you'll love this. I had an elder in my church for forever, and he passed away a couple years ago. He was a agronomy professor at OSU. Nicest Christian man you could ever want to know. Of course, he loved sports. He didn't like OU because they're the enemy. We were talking one time, and he was serious as a heart attack, Cody. He goes, the thing that really worries me is about getting into heaven is my hatred towards OU. He wasn't playing, man. He thought that. I said, I think God will give you a pass on that one. He didn't like Sooners either. But
there you go.
No, I like to tease the Sooners. It's fun. But I'll be honest with you, and I hope we do play again someday.
I think we will eventually.
I want to see, Cody, it's like the little tree, big tree effect. I want to see our program is growing, but how much more can it grow if we get all the sunlight and not shade? Agreed?
Yeah.
Now, if I say we, Oklahoma State, I didn't play. I'd be the worst athlete in the history of the sport. But if Oklahoma State, and we're going to have lesser competition, don't get me wrong, Big 12 is not going to be as tough night in and night out most times the SEC, depending on their schedule. If Oklahoma goes 8-4 most years, 9-3, and most objective OU fans kind of, they're that way. They think, some of them, we'll go 12-0 every year. You could, no, not when you play Alabama, not when you play Georgia, not when you play LSU,
right?
And there's some other good programs. There's not really any really bad teams in that conference. They got all the money in the world. So that's why Vanderbilt may be trying to get out and go to the Big Ten. That information might be coming out pretty soon too. We'll see. But it's a different conference. It's a more physical conference, and you better have the dogs. And Oklahoma does, but I don't think they're going to have the depth to go through a whole season in the SEC.
I could see that. I'd say the same argument I think you could say about Houston and UCF and Cincinnati, right? They take a little bit of time to build the two deep, so on and so forth. Yeah, no, I get that part, but I think 9-3, 8-4. I think that's something that they should be able to do on a fairly consistent basis.
Yeah, and by the way, I want you to tease Cody about Oklahoma State's got about 80% of the people that go to their games, are tied in with Oklahoma State. Where about 80% of the people who go to OU games are just bandwagon fans. Tell him that. See what he does.
I'll make sure to give Jason as much grief as I physically possibly can, as often as possible.
Did you watch him last night on that show out west?
I saw that you jumped into him, or you jumped in on behalf there for a little while, so I got to catch a little bit of it, but no, I haven't caught all of it. It
was an ambush, a big time ambush.
He texted me today, and
you go watch it. Go watch it, dude. I mean, I was proud of him because I'm kind of a passionate guy like he is, and I would have ripped that guy a new one.
I already told him from the little bit I heard he was way too nice.
Yep, and I agree with him and others that if a guest doesn't treat or a host doesn't treat you right, you don't need to be on that show anymore.
Yeah, man. No, I get it. I get it. It sucks, but yeah, he's going to make a good account of himself, thankfully.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I thought he did very well.
Well, brother, before I let you skedaddle on out of here, we got a couple more things to cover. Let's shift gears just a bit. We're going to jump back into your cup of taters that you love swimming in so much. Man, I've been seeing a lot of stuff about Jalen Montonati. Like, he's got to be a Cowboy, right? Like, come on.
I would tell you this, going back to our superstar of a couple of years ago, I would take that same advice when I said hire his brother. Well, in this case, I'm going to say hire his daddy. And his daddy's a real coach. He is his high school coach, Brian, of course, that played at Oklahoma State with Gottlieb and those guys, Joe Adkins.
Yep.
late 90s, went to the Elite Eight. Probably would have gone to the Final Four, but I think it was Frederick Janzine got food poisoning. They played Syracuse. Syracuse ended up winning the national championship. So, that was a good team, good year. Obviously, it just ended disappointingly. But, yeah, Brian played professional ball after Oklahoma State in France. And I think his wife was an athlete as well. I may be wrong on that, but I'll tell you what, this is a good-looking kid. I remember we had a basketball tournament in Enid, and this is when Jalen was, I think, third or fourth grade. He was playing up with like sixth graders, and Brian was right behind me. And I said, "Which one's yours?" He goes, "That one." I go, "Dang, he's a big kid." He goes, "Yeah, he's only in the fourth grade or third grade or whatever he was." And yeah, he was pretty good back then. And he's got a real good temperament that fans will love. And I would love to see him be a Cowboy, but I also know who else is already recruiting him after this summer. You're going to be fighting. I think when all is said and done, because his entire family lives in Owasso, they would probably move to Stillwater if he played, at OSU. Certainly come to all the games.
Right.
And like I said, Brian could end up being an assistant coach. And if we have another bad year, we may have another head coach anyway. So maybe they'll hire him, but. Was glad to see Keaton Page get moved up to a full-time assistant and get to go out and recruit and things like that. And Keaton's been here. Gosh, I mean, he committed when he was a sophomore in high school to Eddie. He played for Sean. He played for Travis.
Yep.
And he's coached under Brad and now Mike. So I mean, he's been around a long, long time. He's as orange as it gets. And the guy has an unbelievable basketball mind. Everybody in his family is a coach for many generations. His dad is David Page, Hall of Famer, just one of my friends. And so as long as he's on the staff, I feel pretty good about it. Things were getting kind of stale, I felt like, with the former OU head coaches they brought in. They had OSU ties, good guys, but I just felt like, I don't know if maybe they lost their passion or whatever. Maybe they didn't like the way things were going and they weren't allowed to say. I don't know. But this will be a big year for Mike for sure. Both Mikes, football and basketball.
I think we're going to be pretty good, actually. The youth is scary, of course, but man, the more I watch it's highlights, so who knows? But man, the more I watch of these young cats, not to mention Keon was the only freshman at all last year. I mean, it's a crazy conference, but I feel like Mike's got to have a Boynton. I think Boynton's got to at least go, I would say second round, man. It's year 7. I love the guy, but it's time to poop or get off the pot.
Well, it's NCAA or bust for him. I don't think there's any question. We were spoiled with Eddie Sutton, and Oklahoma State fans are knowledgeable about basketball. I feel like my basketball knowledge was greatly enhanced by going to all his practices and games of Coach Sutton's, and so that's the other thing. You bring Brian Montonati back with Jalen. Not only do you get a great player, you get a great coach that played for Eddie Sutton. Has been coaching a long time, and he's modernized Eddie's system, really. I mean, I think Brian would be an outstanding head coach, but he'd have to get some experience first at this level. But tell you what, good guy. We'll have him on the show too, and probably him and Jalen both.
I love it. All right, brother, man. Last thing. All right, we get to circle the wagon back around real quick. If Arizona joins, do you think that means UConn's out, or do you think it's not a both? It's an either or situation.
Well, I've changed my mind a little bit since yesterday, just based on some people I've talked to. I think they're probably out, but they're kind of a backup. And I think if Arizona were to back out, I think UConn gets an invite tomorrow.
Okay.
But I think also Arizona is going to go ahead and commit at some point tomorrow or Thursday, definitely this week, and then soon after Arizona State and possibly Utah. But if it's only one of those two, because you can't have three, right? You got to have four. And you already got one. So let's say you get two more and you need one more. And let's say Utah and Arizona State say no, or one of them says no. Well, guess who's ready to come in? And I'm tired of Oklahoma State fans and other Big 12 fans ragging on them so much about their football. Do we have such short memories to remember 0-10-1 season? Do we have such short memories? We don't remember that when we first got Baylor in this conference and nobody wanted them. I think they went 3 years without winning a Big 12 game. Heck, they went a basketball season and didn't win a game when they first brought Drew in. So, and their girls basketball wasn't any good at that point. And look what they've done.
I think with the ACC being in a slight predicament, UConn football could benefit by local recruiting and being a part of the Big 12. It's going to be, somebody said today, I've done so many shows, I can't remember which one it was, but somebody said, this has got to be a bad deal for G5s, right? I go, no. The Big 12 just brought 4 of them in. Well, I mean, if you want to call BYU a G5, they weren't a P5. They were independent. Yeah. But you're talking about, let's say the Pac-12 loses those other 3 schools tomorrow, right? And that Oregon and Washington go to the Big Ten. I mean, that leaves you with you're the Pac-4. 4. I mean, you're not even A5 anymore. You're not a qualifier. You're in no man's land. And worse than that, let's say it's 6. Let's meet in the middle somewhere. The Big 12 gets the 4 corner schools, and the Big 10 here in a year or two takes maybe sooner than that, depending on what goes on with the ACC and Florida State tomorrow. Right. But they take Oregon and Washington. Now you got 6. You lose one more, you're done. But what happens when you got 6? You have 5 games in the conference, meaning you've got to have, instead of 3, now you've got to have 7 non-conference games. Who are you going to play? And so, they're in a world of hurt. In a way, I feel bad for the fans who are passionate. I don't think there's that many of them, but for the ones that are, I said, just pick a Big 12 team and come be a fan, because you're going to love it. The fans are passionate at every school. We fight like hell during the game, but afterwards we go get a beer together. I said, you will love the culture is so much different. And it's in Stillwater, Oklahoma, Saturday. I bet there's not a man, woman, or child who wouldn't know that there's a football game going on, because everything changes. The game or the city increases. The city increases by more than double in population in one day. It's just can't drive a vehicle anywhere.
Well, I grew up in West Lafayette, Indiana. I was a Purdue fan, right? And my dad taught there until I was 16. And I thought that was college football. Then I moved here in 78. No, what I was watching was glorified high school football. This is college football. And I love it, and you love it, and the people listening love it, and wouldn't have it either way. Or there's some things I'd like to change. Oh, hell yeah. But in reality, it's the best game of any sport at any level.
I love it, brother, man. And you know what? I love having you on. I do have one correction. I didn't go to I grew up in Stillwater, but I actually went to Friends University. Don't forget, I was a Falcon.
Friends University of Central Kansas.
Yes, sir. Well, it was. All right. I see what you did there.
That's what everybody told me. I believed it for a long time. That's what everybody told me.
No, it was. It was.
Oh, it really was?
CK at one point.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe that word didn't mean anything back in the day. I don't know.
That's exactly it. It wasn't a curse word back then, right? So it was normal. And then when it became a curse word, they were like, you know what? Let's just go Friends University. How's that sound? Which isn't
it's
much
kind of like when I play an old song or something.
FU signs, so whatever.
Well, I play music sometimes. It's old just to kind of piss off my kids, because they play that rap stuff, which I hate. And them playing something the other day. And, back maybe even the 70s, 60s, and before, the word gay meant something completely different. I'm gay and I'm happy and all that. It's like, well, it means something different now. So whenever that plays, everybody kind of looks at each other. Can you say that?
Oh, song. Yeah, not crazy.
Words change meanings, don't they?
Yeah, it is wild. It is wild. All right, buddy. Well, you can get back to being, you know what? I do have one more thing real quick.
Okay.
How does it feel? Right? Like, dude, I don't know. I go back and forth with people all the time that are like, oh, Greg Swaim just says a bunch of stuff. How does it feel right now when people are like, oh, I guess that guy was right? Like, because, I mean, you catch crap at a different level, right? Because you've been doing this for a long time and you have a big following. So you catch a lot of crap at a completely different level than most of us understand. So I'm just, dude, kudos to you on being right. I appreciate being in the circle with you for this wild ride that I've been on. Keep it up. I appreciate you.
Hey, did you see what even Monty said about me the other day? Did you see that?
I did not.
I didn't either. Somebody brought it up to me, so I went back and looked. The day that Colorado committed, it happened at the beginning of their show, and he stopped, took about 2 minutes to say, hey, you know who really has been telling us the whole time? So he gave me a lot of credit, and I really appreciate that because, we've butted our heads a couple of times, and but hey, he told it the way it is, and I appreciate that.
Good.
And if Arizona comes tomorrow, which I think they will in the next few days, and we started to mention the Florida State and ACC stuff a couple months ago. You talk about crap; they were ready to lock me up in the loony bin.
Bro,
and
I'm telling you that we need to get that Big 12 Anon flag. 100%.
Yeah, well, you know who figured me out, and I'm a little worried now because I don't want anybody knowing my secret. Bomber Brown. Every time somebody rips me on his show, he'll say, well, Greg's kind of I don't know what the word he used, like an actor or something. It's kind of an act. Like he's different on the radio than he is when we talk. And that's probably true. Because when I'm on Twitter or I'm on here, I'm usually fighting with somebody, which I love to do. That's worst part of my nature, I guess. But, and I've known a lot of media guys over the years when I was coming up, and I'd try to get tips from them. And they would tell me, you know what, there's no such thing as bad publicity. If you can get half of them to love you and half of them to hate you, you got a huge audience. And I think that's kind of what's going on. So we'll keep up the act. If it is indeed an act, who knows?
There you go. All right, brother, man. Well, I appreciate you.
All right. Hey, good talking to you, buddy.
Babies, and I'll check in with you a little later, boss man.
All right. Take care, bud. Bye.
All right, bud. Later. Well, that's pretty simplistic, guys. The man, the myth, the legend, the vice president of our Big 12 Anon crew. I love it. All right, y'all. That's all we're going to have for this one. As always, thank you very much for tuning in. You know I love you. God bless you. Go Pokes. And this does mean a lot. You could be anywhere. You chose to be here. All righty. Later, taters.